Welcome back to another Railpac video. In this program, we will explore some of our many encounters with ALCO diesel locomotives from across the country. The American Locomotive Company was well known and revered in the railroad industry for their world-class steam locomotives. Although they performed better transitioning to the diesel market than their counterparts, Baldwin and Lima Hamilton, and outsold newcomer Fairbanks Morse. By 1969, stiff competition from Electromotive and General Electric caused ALCO to close their doors for good. Designs and manufacturing rights were then transferred to Montreal Locomotive Works and purchased by Bombardier in 1975. Plagued by poor sales and reliability concerns, production ended by 1986 and the plant sold by 1988, marking the final end of ALCO-derived locomotives. With ALCO having been out of the locomotive market for over 50 years, many industries, short lines, and even some regionals still rely on ALCO locomotives. With minor tweaks, ALCOs are often considered reliable and exceptionally durable locomotives, even if parts are sometimes hard to find. Our first stop is the Mosaic Potash Terminal in Rosemount, Minnesota, formerly CFI. Number 9027, an ALCO S2 of unknown origins, is one of 4 ALCOs on the property used to spot cars in the facility. We'll take a minute to listen as this relic is worked hard on a string of potash loads. Our next diesel dinosaur is Livonia, Avon, and Lakeville number 72. Built in 1941 for the South Buffalo Railway, this 1,000 horsepower ALCO S2 toiled almost every day on the yard job in Lakeville, New York until its recent retirement. The LANL of course sports an all-ALCO roster, and 2 of their road units head out of Lakeville with the road train. Power today is LAL 433, a C430 of New York Central Heritage, and LAL 425, a C425 built for the New Haven Railroad. Once in Rochester, New York, the LANL road train heads for the CSX interchange at Genesee Junction. After dropping the rest of their train in Avon, we'll see the ALCO duo one last time as they head back to Lakeville with a single car. Back in Minnesota, we found Minnesota Commercial Number 80 at their transload facility in Fridley. Number 80 is a MLW RS23, built in 1958 for Canadian Pacific, originally intended for service on branch lines with light rail. Until its recent retirement in 2023, Number 80 could be found working the Fridley transload, where its low-speed lugging abilities came in handy switching heavy cuts of steel coil cars. The Minnesota Commercial has long been known for its eclectic roster of older ALCO, MLW, and General Electric locomotives, but most notably, its two ALCO RS27s, the only two of this model to remain in existence. We'll watch as number 316 goes about switching customers in the Twin Cities on Job 52. Both 316 and 318 were acquired by the Green Bay and Western in 1968 after serving the Chicago and Northwestern. They remained on the GBW until the railroad was purchased by the Wisconsin Central in 1993. Sold to the Minnesota Commercial shortly after, both units were actually in service longer for the Commercial than the GBW when they were finally pulled from service in 2022. Since its inception in 1986, the Arkansas and Missouri Railroad has been a haven for ALCO locomotives, even today having the largest active roster of ALCO C420s in the country. In 2013, the railroad acquired 3 EMD SD70 ACEs to handle the additional growth in traffic the railroad had seen, resulting in heavier road trains, and the ALCOs were relegated to local service. In 2022, however, an unfortunate derailment that resulted in damage to the Arkansas River Bridge stranded 3 of the railroad's 4 SD70s in Fort Smith, Arkansas. This in turn resulted in the ALCOs being pressed into service on the road trains for the first time in almost 10 years. Railpac Videos was there to capture the action. Four of the railroad's C420s are teamed up with SD70 ACE number 70 as they highball south with the Monette turn. Over the next few days, even with the reduced traffic levels, C420's number 44 and 68 would stay teamed up with number 70, with the derailment even resulting in a daylight Fort Smith turn, a job that usually runs overnight. Moving again to New York State, this time in Rome, New York, where we find the Mohawk, Adirondack, and Northern switching customers in the industrial park. The M, A, and N, a subsidiary of Genesee Valley Transportation, operates several ALCO C425s and MLW M420. We'll take a moment to watch 2453, a C425 built in 1964 for the Erie Lackawanna, switch a few customers in Rome. With their switching finished, the crew highballs on the CSX, utilizing trackage rights to get back to their base of operations in Utica, New York. Moving again now to Scranton, Pennsylvania, we find ourselves at another GVT property, the Delaware Lackawanna Railroad. We'll watch as an eclectic group of ALCOs are hostled around the recently built Von Storch shops. The ALCOs and MLWs here are of vastly varying heritage, and this group is a great example. The C425 is on home rails, built for the Erie Lackawanna. The M420 was built for the British Columbia Railroad. The RS11, one of the first group built, came from the Duluth, Winnipeg, and Pacific, and the RS32 was constructed for the Southern Pacific. Often considered one of the last great ALCO shows in the country, right out of the gate in Scranton, trains are already fighting a grade of at least 1.5%. Watch and listen as this 4-unit lash-up gets tonnage started on the hill at Ridge Row. As stated before, the former D, L, and W Pocono Main is challenging territory, and the train is still pulling hard at Moscow. Although helpers on the DL aren't common, they are sometimes needed, and we find that Job LL3 has shoved PO74 up the hill today. After dropping cars and power at Tobyhanna, we see PO74 depart for Pocono Summit with DL 3007 leading. In the following days, we would find DL 3007 leading the same quartet of ALCOs in various tasks around Scranton. 3007 is a MLW M630 that received the GE Super 7 rebuild treatment after retirement from BC Rail in 1991. In Western Pennsylvania now, listen as Western New York and Pennsylvania number 432 is fired up with the air starter, as the crew out of Meadville begins their day. The W, N, Y, and P operates a small roster of ALCO C424, C425, and C430s in local service across their territory, while road jobs are handled by former CSX GEAC 6000s. Although only a shell of its former self, the Apache Railway still puts on a good show. Video was not the original purpose of the stop in Arizona, however, and Railpac Videos intends to make another trip in the near future to document this unique ALCO-powered short line in the stunning high desert landscape. Saving the best for last, of course, we're in Burlington, Iowa at the Burlington Junction Railroad. This short 3-mile industrial operation interchanges with the BNSF in downtown Burlington. Their claim to fame is that they operated the last group of ALCO C415s in regular service in the U.S. The 8-cylinder ALCO 251 in the C415 produces 1,500 horsepower and has a very distinct exhaust note when compared to the other 6, 12, and 16-cylinder 251-powered locomotives in this video. Unfortunately, towards the end of 2022, all 3 of the railroad's C415s were sold to the Diesel Motive Company, reporting Marks BUGX. It's likely that lack of parts availability influenced the railroad's decision to retire the C415s, being an oddball unit even in the ALCO catalog. Although not impossible, it's unlikely that we'll ever see a C415 in revenue freight service again. Thank you to everyone who watches these videos until the end. We hope you've enjoyed this look at several ALCO-powered operations from across the country. Longer, more in-depth videos of some of these operations can be found on the ALCO 455 channel under the Railpac videos playlist. Please like the videos, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy action and in-depth looks at ALCO-powered railroads and other unique operations from across the USA. Keep your eyes out for more great railroad content from Railpac videos on the ALCO 455 YouTube channel.